So Tony, thank you for joining me today. We're here to talk about the first half of 2024 and the work that Digital Jersey has been doing. I thought we might start by talking about Jersey becoming a smart island. Why do you think that's important, and what do we have yet to do in order to make that happen?
I'll be honest, one of my frustrations in Jersey has been we have such potential as, you know, a sort of campus-like environment with 45 square miles, a walled garden because of the sea, the fact that we control our own infrastructure, and we have such advanced infrastructure. If you look at our telecoms, you look at, you know, the electricity, smart metering and things like that. And the fact that government owns and controls most of the infrastructure companies who work together with us, they're members of Digital Jersey. We've had a Smart Island group for a while. And we do use data and technology across government, across companies, but we don't share it. And that's really hard to do data sharing around the world. It should be easier in Jersey. And so I think Jersey could be a real exemplar as a smart island. We can make evidence-based decisions rather than anecdote-based decisions, as we quite often say. We have the technology, we have the willingness, and I think it also plays up to one of Digital Jersey's really strong roles as a connector of bringing people together. The fact that we can sit at the interface between the public and the private sector. You know, we're funded by government, we're funded by industry, we work with both. We can bring them together to share data and show off to the world what we can do as well. And it will really help, I think, Sandbox Jersey. You know, Jersey is a test bed for other people's ideas and technologies.
What kind of work do you think that Digital Jersey has done to kind of make that happen?
We started off looking at data and the beginnings of a smart island with our digital twin. We've been working last year and this year on the world's first proper data trust using trust laws, not using trust laws anywhere, not just Jersey's trust laws. And the missing piece, really, of that smart island is the sort of data platform and the data exchange. Seb and the team has worked hard on a white paper. We've shared it with some of the infrastructure companies. We're talking to technology providers. And the next step is to bring together, particularly the infrastructure companies and the relevant government departments, to look at how we actually make that happen.
Where do you see that going next? What's the potential?
We obviously ran the life cycle project to prove that we could use Jersey's trust laws with data as an asset instead of the usual property, wealth, etc. And it was a really good way of looking at that. It was a really good way of bringing together finance industry, regulators, government in Jersey around that notion. But I'm not sure people realise how much attention that is getting off island. We've had quite a few inquiries from people who've been following what we've been doing about data trusts. It's all part of our efforts to make the world see Jersey perhaps in a slightly different light, as a centre for research and development, as a test bed for technologies, so that they recognise that as well as the things they might know about Jersey, like the Jersey cow and Jersey milk and Jersey royal potatoes, and Jersey as a finance industry and as a tourist destination, that we're actually rapidly becoming known as a digital centre as well.
Absolutely, it's just kind of repositioning Jersey, isn't it, as you say, is kind of more than all that, as important as that is. You touched upon kind of the idea of Jersey as a sandbox there, which is something that we talk about a lot, you know, Jersey being the perfect testbed environment. Could you just speak on kind of how that paints Jersey in a different light and why it's so important that we continue that testbed environment?
Yeah, so what we saw a few weeks ago now was the culmination of a 2-year plus project. And that project, you're right, that got funding and 2 projects in the world looking at collision avoidance for drones, because the future we see in science fiction movies of the sky full of drones, that's only going to happen if we can make sure drones don't crash into each other, and more importantly, don't crash into big metal things carrying people. And that project needed to do a lot of tests, which they did in the UK, but they needed real world environment tests. They needed to be in real world airspace. And of course, one of the things that people wouldn't appreciate from outside Jersey is we control our own airspace. You know, we've got some amazing air traffic controllers up at the airport, not only looking at the airport, but at the airspace around Jersey. And it was really great to see feedback from the Alias people who were running the drone trials on how easy it was to come to Jersey, get connected with the right people, get the right support from us, from Ports of Jersey, from government as well, from other organisations like JT, and they could do it all in the same place. Whereas the complexity and the time that it would take to get the same permissions, the same support, somewhere like the UK or France, would make it so much more difficult, if not impossible.
Yeah, of course. We've launched the CareTech Challenge this year, the latest of our Impact Jersey projects. Why do you think that's so important, and why is Jersey the perfect place in which to come and bring that tech?
We have all the challenges of a lot of economies, worse in some ways, of an ageing population. Obviously, care is quite labour intensive. The care sector is struggling like many other parts of the economy here and elsewhere to recruit staff. So if there are ways to use technology to help not only those being cared for, but their carers, to do a better job, to be able to look after more people in a more high quality way. I don't think people realise that in the modern age there aren't really any other ways to both improve outcomes and improve efficiencies other than using technology.
Definitely. There's so much innovation on Ireland, and I think we saw that reflected in this year's Tech Awards.
We've seen increasingly good examples of how government is using technology. The Marine Environment team won 2 awards. There are other government departments nominated. We saw Digital Leader of the Year works for a trust company. We've seen the finance industry, they're nominated for awards. We've seen charities, all sorts of organisations. And this is, in a way, Tech Awards is the embodiment of what we've always said. Digital is both a vertical and a horizontal in the economy. And it's unlike other economic sectors in many ways because of that. It's important we have a strong digital sector, but it's also important that every part of the economy and every part of society realises the benefits that it can get from technology.
You mentioned, the government's Blue Carbon report, which used AI mapping.
Yes.
The breadth of AI's potential is quite significant, I think.
Yes, I think that's going to become more and more important. One of the things we saw in the last 6 months was the establishment of the Jersey's AI Forum. Yeah. And it was good to see some industry practitioners in technology, financial services and the legal world step up to do that, and we've been supporting and working with them. It's going to be really interesting how AI affects Jersey and how Jersey prepares for AI, because it is going to have an impact. Particularly on industries like financial services, particularly on industries like government, both big employers in Jersey. And we really need, and Digital Jersey and the Academy in particular will play a big part in that. We really need to prepare our workforce as well as our citizens for not just the impact of AI, but the opportunity, how we can forge new industries. And again, data trust is a big part of that. Data is a fundamental building block of AI, a particularly good data, particularly well stewarded data, data that's been shared between owners rather than just Facebook's data or just Twitter's data or just Google's data. And Jersey can play a role in that world.
And as well as the importance of, encouraging digital across our sectors, we've also made efforts this year to digitise internally. How important do you think that is for Digital Jersey to be seen to be digitising itself in a way?
Well, you tell me, because one of the big, we talked about Microsoft Copilot already, and we've got the licenses, and we've got Rory in-house, and the fact that the beginning of every weekly team meeting, we get 10 minutes with Rory showing us a new tip for how we can use it. Yeah. But as you say, we've used it in marketing in particular. So you tell me, what's been the benefit to you of moving to, in our case, HubSpot for our CRM and digital marketing?
It freed up time, which I think is a huge,
we need lots of that.
Yeah, we do. And that's a huge thing for businesses, whatever sector you're in. If you can automate or do things more intelligently using tech and then free up time, let's say to engage with members on a one-to-one basis, that's so much more powerful and can add so much more value.
And as you know, we get approached all the time from businesses asking for help. And I think the fact that we've been through some of these experiences is really helpful. Yeah. After you talking me through how HubSpot worked, I suddenly thought, oh, somebody asked me for help on something else or how they approached it. Let's link the two of you up to see how you can help. So again, I think it's really important that Digital Jersey practice is what it preaches.
Yeah.
And we're good users of technology. And I find, you know, it is quite scary, I have to say. You know, when we have the presentations on Copilot, on HubSpot, it's very easy to be daunted by the complexity of it. But as you said, actually, once you get into it, these things are much more user-friendly than they used to be. And it's really about opening your eyes to what the potential is. So you might initially use it to replace maybe a frustrating or slower system, but then you think, oh, I can now do this and I can do that, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And the opportunities are limitless.
So it's clear that we've done a lot this year already. I think that was even just kind of the highlights, and Digital Jersey as a snapshot. There's obviously a lot more to come for the rest of 2024. What are you most excited about for the rest of this year?
It always sounds a bit boring when you say more of the same, but when it's actually more of the things we've talked about, it's not boring. And there's always new things that come up that we've not thought about. But I think really what I'm excited about is taking forward the data trust work. It's going to be really exciting. And some of the projects we're in discussion about there that hopefully will come to fruition sooner rather than later. Impact Jersey, not only seeing, particularly looking forward to what applications come forward. And our deadline is the end of August, then we'll get into the judging process. So looking forward to seeing those, and also launching our next program after that as well. Looking forward to seeing, you know, what else our members come up with, what else comes up in all the talks and those community discussions. We've got a lot of events coming up. I talked about the AI event. That will be really interesting to see what happens. We've got our first member meetup to allow members to sort of take over the stage themselves and give the community an update on what they're doing. I think that's becoming increasingly important. And before we know it, we'll be planning next year's annual review, so no pressure there then.
Yeah, there's a lot already, isn't there, happening
Yes.
for next year as well, already thinking about next year's Tech Awards, so yeah, it's a lot. But yeah, lots to look forward to and very exciting stuff coming up. So
Definitely.
Thank you very much for talking to us about it today, and here's to the next 6 months.
No, thank you.